Satang Prasanga.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, and welcome to today's session. I pray that all is well with you and your families at this moment, and that you're taking the necessary precautions during this difficult time to prevent the virus from spreading. So we move on today to the next sutra, and it goes as follows. The difficulties of the journey should not be mistaken for the absence of Krishna's compassion. He is there, whether or not we can perceive him. At other times, we have no alternative other than waiting. At those times, we often are unable to discern either his presence or his desires. We just are forced to wait. In life, it's one thing to philosophize a solution, but it's a total another thing to actually experience it. So in these sutras that we trying to offer some empowerment during difficult times, there are going to be times when you are going to feel completely helpless. You're going to feel completely hopeless. Sometimes even the devotee feels that I've done everything now. Why is it not working out? Which prayer should I do now? Which offering should I do now? Which vrat should I do now? And many times he's left helpless. And this is also part of the remedy. This is also part of Krishna's development. When he's watching you and seeing, what do you do now when you have no other options? Will you still give up on me? Will you still trust that I am there? Will you still believe in yourself that you did the right thing by connecting to me? All these kind of questions become real to the devotee because he's experiencing tremendous emotional pain. When I was growing up, there used to be a beautiful story. I'm not sure if it's a biblical story, but it's a beautiful anecdote. And it goes along the lines, footprints in the sand. I'm sure you're familiar with it. That there's this person, usually when your mind is troubled and you're very disturbed, you take a walk on the beach and just try to hear the waves and experience this openness and freedom of the land and the water, and it gives a sense of relief. So this devotee was walking on the beach and he's praying to the Lord that when times were good for me, I used to see two sets of footprints, and I knew that one set was yours, my Lord. And now, when I'm in my difficult time and I really need you, I really need someone so that I can trust and rely on and turn to, then there's only one set of footprints. And the Lord answers very kindly, very compassionately, that yes, during good times I was there with you, and I'm there with you. But during difficult times, you are not able to perceive that I was carrying you, and those footprints are mine. So it's a very comforting notion that Krishna is there, even though I don't perceive him. Because at times of difficulty, the mind is turbulent. very turbulent, very disturbed, and is looking for an immediate solution. But Krishna is using that opportunity to deepen the relationship. Do you trust me enough? Are you aware that I'm here with you even during these difficult times? Just like Queen Kunti is praying. Our sutra goes on today to say, the difficulties of the journey should not be mistaken for the absence of Krishna's compassion. It's usually at this time that we doubt His kindness. We know He's kind. Look at how He's transformed our lives from the time we've become devotees. In so many different ways, there's auspiciousness, there's abundance, there's everything we'd want. And when this traumatic event comes into our life, it turns everything upside down. We start to question everything about Krishna's kindness, which is the one thing that is the thread between Him and us, is do you have that faith in me when times are not going so good? Do you really trust that I'm there? So it's a very testing time for the devotee. And it's a very sweet time for the Lord, because He sees, are you just praying to me for material things, or do you also want me? If it's just a mutual arrangement for material things, then you don't need Krishna for that. The demigods can do that. You should continue being a demigod worshipper. But if you want Krishna, He's offering Himself. Nobody else is doing that. And part of that pact, part of that arrangement is the test from the devotee and the test from the Lord. So in this mindset, the devotee is thinking, you solve my problem according to the way I understand it, because I know that that's the best outcome. Not trusting Krishna's outcome, that it could be a better outcome. This is the great difference between the pure devotees, the Uttama Adhikari and the Kanishta Adhikari. The Kanishta Adhikari only sees the Lord in the temple. Once he's out of the temple, he's forgotten everything about Krishna and Krishna consciousness. And the Uttama Adhikari sees the Lord's hand everywhere. So how did he get to that stage? Because surely he was also a Kanishta Adhikari at some point before he became the Uttama Adhikari, the great devotee. So how did his consciousness evolve to that beautiful state of mind where you can see the Lord's hand everywhere and at all times? It took these tests to do that, because what else can shake us up? So it goes on to say, He is there whether or not we can perceive Him. So Krishna is always there. He cannot be in a particular place. He's always everywhere. And therefore we can connect to Him at any time. Goes on to say, at other times we have no alternative other than waiting. So Krishna also plays the waiting game, because that's the only way you test. Time is the real test. What else is the real test? It's time. Because we may do all the activities according to the way we understand it in Krishna consciousness, but the real test is time. And that is when it comes to leaving this world, leaving our body. That's the real test, because then there is no second choice. It's did you do enough? Have you endeavored enough? Were you sincere enough? That all of those questions will be answered at that moment. Other than that, anybody can put on a show as we usually do. Try to please others. But have we really pleased Krishna at the end? we try to please others, yeah, and in doing that we get some satisfaction, but have we pleased Krishna? That is the real thing. And to please Krishna means to be able to go through these difficulties, because Vaishnav's path is laden with thorns. Bhaktisiddhanta used to say this. Why? Because constantly these are the things that, until these intensities come along, what else will shake us up? Our situation is so diseased. What else can shake us up out of this material consciousness? The contamination is so real, it's so deep. What can shake us up? Great. There's the pastime of Indra that comes as a pig, and when he's here, after the pastime is over, he gets so conditioned he doesn't want to go back. No, I'm comfortable here. We see in Loy Bazaar, we see all the pigs running around. They're very comfortable, stout and Prabhupada would say stout and fatty. So it's very difficult to give up that abhiman, that conception or misconception. It's very difficult, because once you're in that state, you get connected to that and you start to believe in that. So it's only calamities that shake us out of this illusion, and then we start to question whether this is really the way it is or not. And just like this virus has done, it's really shaken the world to its knees. We've never been two things. We've never been so fearful, and we've never been so uncertain. I'm sure we've never prayed like this in our lives. Every moment we don't know whose turn is next. It's like Russian roulette. You really don't know who's next. It's quite a scary thing. So the devotee takes this opportunity, my Lord. Whether you handle me roughly by your embrace, or make me broken-hearted by not appearing before me, you're still my worshipable Lord, unconditionally. How will we reach that level of consciousness of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Shikshastikam? How will we reach that level? Asisya padaratham pinastumam adarshana mamahata karotuva yada dada vidadadhatu lampato mat prananata, is to say evana paraha. How will we reach that level? Only these difficulties can give us that. That's why at the end of the journey of life, when we look back, we'll say, wow, I really thought that difficulty was insurmountable. But now I can see that Krishna had helped me to it, and he helped me through it, and has given me a deeper realization and relationship with him. And the sutra goes on to say, at those times, we often are unable to discern either the presence or the desire. We just are forced to wait. So this patience, we were talking about it in Nectar of Instruction. Utsahan nischaya dhairya tat tat karma pravartanat. So many times we quoted this verse, this patience, dhairyat. So it's a great virtue that's going to help us in spiritual development. This philosophy is there only to be practiced. The great acharyas, Rupa Goswami, had compiled all of this only so that for the discerning seeker, if he really wants to get out of this world, if he really wants to develop his relationship with Krishna, then these things are required. And the fact that you're listening to this podcast tells me that you have that proclivity within your heart, that you want to grow, you want to develop sincerely, and you want to develop your eternal relationship with Krishna. So I hope you enjoyed today's class. Please join us again tomorrow. Hare Krishna.